But truth is, I'm not really a good person.
So I just got done checking out the new A24 movie Pearl. This is a prequel to Ti West's other film that came out this year, X, which was also written and directed by Ti West and also stars Mia Goth. So this film has a very limited cast. There's really only a couple people, but it's pretty much Mia Goth, and it is really focused in on her, camera focused in on her. You hear her thoughts, you hear her 99% of the time in this movie. She's basically taken up every frame. And it's extremely impressive, the performance that she gives here. That is really the reason to see this. But a warning up front, if you haven't seen X, I'm not really sure it's a great idea to go see Pearl, because they very much go hand in hand. And it's not that you wouldn't understand what's going on, because Pearl is a prequel. It does tell you everything you need to know as it goes along. It's just your interest level won't be the same. Because, spoiler warning, if you haven't seen X, it's going to be hard for me to talk about Pearl without talking about things from X. But if you haven't seen X, turn this off now, go watch X, and then come back and check out my review. So now I'm going to assume that everyone that's watching this has seen X. And if you've seen X, you know that Pearl is this psychotic lunatic, right? Because in X, she's this old lady, psychotic, kills everybody kind of deal. And if you haven't seen X prior to seeing Pearl, it doesn't really have that same power, because you're kind of like, why do I care so much about this woman? Because it's very much a slow burn, very much slowly builds you up to seeing what made this character go into madness, what makes them have this psychotic break. So if you've seen X, you're very excited to see this character fleshed out, very excited to see why she became what she is and all of the backstory to her. But this movie is very much a slow burn. I'd say you're about an hour in before you see any real action, any real kills, any real gore. It really isn't until the final act and even deep into the final act where things really go off the deep end. You get some real gore, some real psychotic moments from Pearl. But if you're interested in the psychology and the psychopathic mind that is Pearl, then this movie is really interesting, because it delves deep into a lot of what women had to go through in World War I and II, when all the men went off to war and left them with the shattered pieces of what was left. And they didn't have the training, they didn't have people to take care of the kids, they had to do all this, and they were put with this burden of also being left alone, feeling unloved, dealing with, in her case, family illness, and being burdened with all of this world that she was left behind with, feeling very alone. And so it really goes into that and what put women, a lot of women, into serious depression. We had a huge amount of suicides that a lot of people still don't talk about after the war and during all that time, because of the pressure, this pressure cooker that the women were put in. And so it really puts you into this scenario and really shows you her slowly breaking up. And it really puts the question of nurture over nature. If she had had support and her life had been more supportive and a better environment around her, would she still have become what we know becomes Pearl? And so this really goes deep into showing you who she is and what built her into this situation. And it's really fun in that psychological, kind of way where you see the workings of this mind. But if you're patient, it does pay off. Like I said, towards the end, you do get some pretty brutal stuff, some imagery that's very like, whoa, especially because like what Ti West likes to do, he lulls you into this almost sense of non-brutality, a sense of like calm, and all of a sudden just the other foot drops and it's like this massive gory brutalness that just drops down, and it definitely shows you, doesn't hold anything back, shows you some really gory, brutal stuff at the end of this movie. My favorite thing about Pearl though is the way it looks. This movie just pops off the screen. It's amazing. It feels almost like a Disney movie. It's so colorful and bright, like these old Disney movies we grew up with that had this Technicolor, like almost neon glow to them. They were so popping off the screen. It really has that, and it's really bizarre, especially when she starts to lose her mind, because you're seeing these psychotic things and these brutal, gory things she's doing, but all in this beautiful, bright, happy look. And it just gives it this really awesome dichotomy that just was amazing and made me just really, really enjoy this movie. So in general, I would say as a standalone movie, it's a fascinating psychological thriller. But with X, it really makes for this great package. And then make sure you stay for the after credit scene, because it's the little sneak peek to the movie Maxine, which is available online. So if you've already seen it, because it is out there by A24, then you've already seen it. But if you haven't, it is fun to stick around and watch that with it. Just like when you watch X, at the very end of that, it showed you a trailer for Pearl. So this is a movie, I would say, if you've seen X, then this is one you definitely need to see in theaters. If you haven't seen X, then I would see X and then go watch this in theaters, or wait for this to come out. Either way, I think you'll enjoy this movie a lot more if you've seen X. But it is an extremely well done movie, like all Ti West films, and I am definitely a fan of this one. I cannot wait for Maxine. Just the world that he's building is just so much fun, and it's different than what we see. There's definitely things he borrows from other films that he's been inspired by, but just overall, his movies have a unique quality to them, and one I am so there for. That's going to wrap it up for me today. Thank you so much to my patrons. If you're interested in becoming a patron, click on that link below, because that is the best way to help me out and help support this channel. And like always, thank you so much for watching. Please crush that like button. And remember, guys, horror can be fun. I will see you guys next time.